All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning to you and happy Friday. I'm glad to be back here on this beautiful Friday morning here. I'm back home in Pittsburgh. So looking forward to this conversation with you guys this morning. It's an interesting title. It might be one that catches people's eyes because nobody thinks that they fall in the category of an extremist. But after this conversation today, you might find yourself pondering that question. Today's topic, are you an extremist? Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. And man, it is good to be back with you guys. I was on the road for a couple of days here, so not really able to do the show in the morning. And over the last few days, this topic has been kind of weighing on me. So I wanted to jump into this topic, even though it might be an interesting one for people to listen to. And, it kind of came to me because I thought about the fact that so many people right now are so divided in our world, right? And I'm trying to figure out where exactly is that coming from? Like, what is driving the division that we all feel in our country, that we feel in our own lives? There's people around us that maybe were friends of ours that don't want to be friends anymore, that, all the stuff going on is just not the best, right? I think we all know that anytime we are not together as a country or as a people, when humanity is divided, that's never a good thing. And so I wanted to talk about that this morning, but let me start off by saying happy Halloween to all of you guys, especially to your children. I know this is a weekend that, everybody enjoys, and, everybody likes watching the kids get dressed up and have a great time going around trick-or-treating. Hopefully everybody is having trick-or-treating this weekend. I know that in our neighborhood, we are still having it. So hopefully everybody stays safe this weekend, has a great time with their kids. Hopefully you got some Halloween parties planned to go to, and hopefully you guys post all the pictures of all of your costumes, because those are fun to look at. And I got a good one. You guys will like my costume. It's a winner this year. So stay tuned for that. I'll be posting pictures of that one later. But I want to say good morning to some folks. Good morning, Mark Farelli, Dave Weldon, Tammy, Misa, good morning to you. I can't see everybody on here this morning. My mom is watching here. John, good morning to you as well. So I want to talk about extremism this morning. And the reason for it is just everything that's going on in the world, right? So many people just taking sides. And so, one of the things that I said to people yesterday, I said to somebody in a comment on social media on my flight home, I said, the answer is more independent thinking, right? The answer is not just following, if I'm a Democrat, I'm going this way. If I'm a Republican, I'm going this way. And I'm blindly loyal to whichever side it is that I am choosing. And, I don't really like to talk about political topics, to be honest with you, because it's usually not a winner. But I feel like almost a responsibility to bring this up because of what I see. And I think that a lot of people might see the same things, but they don't necessarily recognize it as what it is. And so I started thinking about how, normal people can kind of become what I would say is borderline extremist. And so, we're going to talk a little bit about political extremism and then personal extremism. And so what is the real definition? And does this definition apply to you in some way, shape, or form? And again, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings by calling you, an extremist. I'm not trying to put that label on you. What I'm trying to do is explain to you what that means, and for you to see if maybe you've been sucked into this vacuum that has been put in front of all of us this year, and that maybe you have taken a side and maybe you've gone a little bit too far. Maybe you've lost a little bit of your independent thinking in the process of all this division that's going on in our country. And so what I'm trying to do this morning is hopefully to get a couple of people to recognize this, to be a little bit more compassionate and open to opposing ideas, because the way that we become better is by listening to other people's ideas, by actually leaning into the conflict of what you don't understand, right? If you don't understand somebody else's view, you will never understand it better, and they will never understand you better if an argument or a disagreement is what ensues as a result of you not understanding each other, right? And so I've said this before, but I'll say it again here. I believe that 95% of our country all wants the same exact conclusion, right? Everybody wants, happiness, security, peace, prosperity. And a lot of people just disagree on the way to get there. They disagree on the person that is best suited to take us there. And so what happens, though, when you have these two opposing sides and their heels are so dug in to their own beliefs, is that there's division created, right? And then in our country right now, there's a lot of things that are fanning the flame of that division, right? And it's things that we don't even always recognize, like what is going into our brains, like what we're feeding our brains every day by, watching these political ads that are on television, by watching the news and watching the same news channel over and over and over again without watching an opposing view. It's a dangerous thing, and it can create an extreme view of one side or the other of a political situation. So I looked up the definition of an extremist. The definition of an extremist is a person who holds extreme or fanatical political or religious views, especially one who resorts to or advocates extreme action. So I want you to think about a couple of words that are in that definition. Extreme or fanatical political or religious views. So what does that mean? Extreme or fanatical? That is anything that's kind of out of the ordinary, right? Like if you're going a little bit too far on your political or religious views, if you're pushing a little bit too hard on people, then it could be considered extreme, right? Could someone else be looking at that as the potential for that being extreme? And then the second part is especially one who resorts to or advocates extreme action. So what is extreme action? I would consider extreme action, getting into in-depth arguments on social media about your political view in some way, right? Like if you sense that something's going down the wrong path and you continue to argue with someone on social media, that is, and I want you guys to just recognize this, that is further fanning the flame of division, because what you're doing is you're trying to tell somebody that they are wrong and you are right in some way, shape, or form, right? Or you're trying to express views, and it's not necessarily the arena that's going to be effective. Sometimes it can be. If somebody's very open-minded, then you can have, a public social media conversation and possibly express some views that might give them a difference in opinion. But it's not always the right place for it. And so what ends up happening is that, people start to take extreme action as a result of these conversations that people have. So I would ask you these questions. Do you find yourself blocking people on social media that have differing opinions of you? Are you calling people names that have differing opinions from you? What are you doing? Are you taking these actions that could be considered extreme as a result of somebody having a differing opinion than you? And that is, something that's really been on my heart and been on my mind, because I see it happening, right? And I think everybody, I would say 98% of people, probably 95, 98% of people at this point, pretty much know who they're going to vote for if they're into politics, right? But you still see, kind of people arguing and people debating back and forth and people, going out of their way to put a comment on somebody's, post that clearly is for the other side. And, I just want you guys to understand that when you take that position of arguing, when you take that position of debating someone in a public forum like that, you are, in some ways, you have to be careful that you're not further fanning that flame of division, because the reality is, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, regardless of what race you are, regardless of what you believe in my world, I love you all. And everybody is my friend, regardless of what their beliefs are. You know, it doesn't cancel you from my life because you believe something different, because there's usually a reason of why people believe something different than you. And if we take the time to lean in and actually understand someone else's view, and we actually care to listen and try and seek to understand, like actually ask real questions and actually have conversations that are based in fact, not the stuff that is just fed to us through social media or on the news, but to really get down to what we believe, where we're going, how they see it differently than you do. What results in that is a better understanding all the way around and a higher level of tolerance for opposing views. And what has happened now as a result of technology, as a result of being able to click a button and unfriend someone or unfollow someone, not have to hear their differing opinion, is that it has put us in two opposite corners of a boxing ring. And when the bell rings and we are brought into the center, there's so many fights that ensue, right? And if you find yourself in that scenario, I would just ask you to evaluate that, like ask you to really think about, have I been sucked into this vacuum of, you know, becoming, and again, I use the word extremist because that's the definition, but even if it's this much of you feeling like maybe I fit that label, maybe I am blocking people, maybe I am intolerant of someone else's opinion, just ask yourself if that's the right solution. And I'm not here to tell you what's right and wrong. I'm just here to give you perspective. That's the title of this show. And I'm here to try and shed light on topics that I think are going on in the world that can be improved by us having a better perspective. And I want you guys to understand that nobody that's going to cast a vote on Tuesday is casting that vote with a negative perception or perspective on what the result is going to be, regardless of who they're pulling the lever for. And the way that we get better as a country, the way that we get better as a people, is by leaning into the conflict to try and understand. Because when you show somebody that you genuinely care about their opinion, about their views, about where they're coming from, they will in turn listen to you. And you just might have an opportunity to actually give them a perspective that they didn't understand before. And so if we can find ourselves a little bit more centered and a little bit more emotionally disciplined to have those conversations, I think we'll find ourselves in a much better result. So that's kind of the political side of it. And we'll just touch on the personal side of it, because I think this has become part of our culture as well. Like our social culture has become one of, you know, the buzzwords right now are called cancel culture, but it is generally an intolerance for, you know, anybody that doesn't agree with you. And it's not just about politics. It's about nearly anything these days. And so I ask you guys to think about that. You know, are you surrounded by some of those people that are quick to just, you know, kind of get rid of somebody that doesn't believe what they believe, you know, that, you know, has a differing opinion, that you do something that somebody doesn't like and they just write you out of their life? Like that's not normal behavior. It's not normal behavior. So I want you guys to think about that as you go through, you know, this weekend into next week, into the holiday season. You know, are you surrounded by some of those people, those intolerant people of different ideas, different thoughts? Because the way that our world gets significantly better is by differing of thoughts. Diversity is more than just the color of your skin, more than just beliefs, more than just gender, having male and female, you know, together in the same group, you know, having black people and white people together in the same group, having gay and straight people in the same group. That's considered diversity. We can see that and we can understand that. But what we don't see is that diversity in a lot of ways is also the difference of thought. In the way that we get way better as a country, the way that we get better as a people, and the way that we start to heal the division that is going on in our country is by welcoming those differing opinions and being tolerant. And when you have the emotional discipline to listen to someone that has a completely differing opinion than you will make them more tolerant automatically. And so when you make other people more tolerant and we start to understand each other better, we start to mend that divide that exists. And as we mend the divide that exists in our country, this country becomes greater and greater and greater every single day. And so I ask you guys to be messengers for that cause, to heal that division, to think about, are you taking extremist views? Or are you trying to be tolerant of differing opinions? Because as you lean into those, remember, as you lean in, and you can, in some cases, it might feel like suffering, as you can suffer through listening to a completely different opinion than yours, and you can understand your fellow man a little bit better, the world gets just a little bit better every time you do that. And other people, you're sowing seeds into other people, and it makes them a little bit better. And then the ripple effect of that makes this world a much better place over a period of time. So I ask you guys to think about that as you go into this Friday, as you go into this weekend. You know, find the peace in your heart, find the love to give to other people that help them just understand you better, understand the opposing view better, understand that fighting is not the answer, right? That having heated debates and, having heated debates is okay in the right arena, but, having them in the wrong arena is fanning the flames of division in our country. And so I just ask you to lean in and really care and listen to each other, and do those things that we all know are the right things in life, right? It's holding the door for people, saying hello. Right now, we need, the next couple of days here leading up to the election, we need more love in this world than ever before, right? Because this is kind of the peak point of division. And, who knows what happens after the election. There's all kinds of reports out there of, groups and things that have plans that are no good. And, how we heal that stuff is genuinely by bringing people in closer, even those that disagree with us. And so I ask you to think about that as you go into this day, into this weekend, and just be a little bit kinder, just be a little bit more caring and show a little bit more love. And I think person by person, we can make this world a little bit better place. So I appreciate you guys being here every single morning with me, man. There was a bunch of people that jumped on and off of here this morning as we were talking. And if you found this message to be valuable, or you think that somebody in your life could benefit from it, a friend, a family member, maybe a lot of people that are connected to you on social media that, maybe fit this description that we're talking about, please do me a favor and share this out, because I think that, this is a message that the timing is like, right on the money as far as when it's needed. And I don't see a lot of people talking about it. And so I'm hoping that this message can maybe reach some people and, get us headed in the right direction. If it just makes a difference with a couple of people, it can make a huge difference in the world. So I would ask you guys to please share this out. Please send it directly to maybe somebody that you think could benefit from it, or somebody else that might have some influence that can get it out to a lot of people. This is the way I believe to healing. And there's a lot more to healing this world. We'll get into that in a different episode, a more spiritually driven episode. But, from my perspective, this is kind of what's going on around me, what I feel, the energy that I feel in the world. And I'm hoping that we can make just a little bit of impact with this conversation this morning. Thank you guys for being here. And I will see you again Monday morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys.